everybody. This is Josh Olive with Haven Comics. It's Thursday night, which must mean it's time for shop talk. So stick around and we're going to talk some shop. And just like that, we're starting to talk shop. Shop talk, talk shop. All the cool stuff. We're going to talk about it. And that means that we need one Alan Breedlove to jump on with us. So here he is.
What is up? Before we get started, a little housekeeping. I know there's a lot going on tonight in primetime television, but we're still here. I wanted to say,
and we're not going to concern ourselves with that.
Exactly. I want to say thank you to everybody that's been watching the playbacks and the videos and everything. I have noticed that our views and our counts are steadily on the incline, which is good. Thank you very much for all that. And I needed to give a couple of quick shout outs, and only a few people are going to understand what I'm talking about. Those that know. So here goes my shout outs. We'll make this quick. And I know right off the bat, I know I'm going to be missing people, but I'm going to do this anyway. No offense to the people that I missed. We're going to go Stack, Jade, Deadpool, Disaster Piece, Blue Purial, Uncle Salty, and my girl, Miss Combat. Y'all know what's up. So that's
I don't know what any of that is.
That is the new Illuminati. With a few others in tow. But it's just this stupid online game that I play. And we spend way too much time playing it, so.
Well, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
So, go ahead. You were about to say something.
So, the news that I saw, I think it was today, that involves Detective Comics.
Heck yes. That's the only thing that I would go, okay. He left a book that he made from nothing into something awesome. He's not leaving the Bat family. He's not leaving entirely. He's going to be right here. And holy smackerel, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, Tom Taylor, who is leaving Nightwing, unfortunately, is now been announced as of today as the new writer on Detective Comics, taking over after Ram V's run. Excite them all.
I'm very interested in that transition. And
how do you even transition that?
Yeah, because I've enjoyed Ram V's run on Detective Comics. It's been darker. It's felt a lot different. I mean, I don't know. It's been a really cool run. And at first, I did not like his run, but that was because I just did not understand his writing style. But then as I got used to his writing style and the tone that he was setting, I think it's a great run. But now we're dealing with two totally different writing styles.
Oh, yeah.
So I do want to see how that transition is going to go. I think that should be really cool.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know how the transition will go. I know that Tom Taylor is going to be awesome on Detective. I mean, I know that.
And, I mean, I really like the dynamic and the way he wrote Nightwing and Batgirl's relationship.
Yes, I did too.
So I'm really looking forward to see if he has anything to do with the Batman-Catwoman relationship. Because in the main Batman title, we're kind of seeing that come back together a little bit. Especially, I can't remember what the issue number was, but it was the issue where he had bought the house. And she shows up at the end of it when they're still renovating it.
Mm-hmm.
So and you can tell just by the conversation, and people that aren't reading it are going to think we're crazy for talking about these characters like this, but that's okay.
If they don't think we're crazy already, then
Yeah,
That's just
really.
not going to convince them.
But you can tell by the exchange between the two characters and the way Zdarsky did it, they still care about each other.
Mm-hmm.
More than, friends or acquaintances or partners. I mean, they still like legit care about each other, just the way that the exchange goes.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if Tom Taylor will bring that into it, or if he keeps it strictly Bat family.
That's a good question, and I don't know. Ram V's run has been so it's different. It feels very melancholy and it's dark. Um, not like dark, creepy dark, but it's just this brooding kind of a melancholy. And I'm interested to see how that translates.
His run, to me, for lack of a better word, his entire run has felt ominous.
Yeah, ominous is a great word for that.
I mean,
Um,
it's just his run. I did not like it at first because it just felt so different, and I did
well, it
not.
was definitely different. It's different from everything. It's no similarity to what had gone before.
Well, I did not understand, like, when he first started out, that whole operatic theme that he had going at first.
Yeah.
But then once he got into his story and telling it, I was like, oh well, wait a minute, I need to rethink my stance on this. This is actually really cool. I don't think we've seen anything like this with Detective Comics.
Oh, I
And
100% agree with that.
and then it kept going and it kept going, and it always, how when you're watching a horror movie and the horror movie starts to get really intense, and there's nobody in the back of the house, but you still kind of want to check every once in a while.
Yep.
That's how his entire run of Batman felt, or the detective felt. It's almost like there was constantly somebody there watching in the background, and I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. On the whole, I thought Ram V did a great job. It was really interesting. Um, I think Tom Taylor's will be more sellable. I think.
Oh yeah.
Um, we'll see.
I hope he doesn't, because Nightwing has definitely had some lighthearted moments built into it.
Yeah.
I hope that he does not build any lighthearted moments into Detective, because I don't think that's the book for it.
Well, I think it has to have some lighthearted moments, but I think they need to be moments, not like huge story elements. If that makes sense.
Yeah, like he does not need to introduce a three-legged dog in it that Batman's got to chase down and protect.
No, it doesn't need to be jokey.
Yeah, but see, that
And
completely
campy.
and totally worked in Nightwing, though.
Oh, it was perfect for Nightwing, and it needed to be because Nightwing should be a lighter character than Batman. But Batman should be darker. What I hope, and I'm really hoping, is that what he does is he puts the detective back in Detective Comics. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I hope he gets away from superhero, and gets into let's solve some crimes, let's figure some things out. And I hope to see more of the detective and less of the guy just punching people. I like the guy who punches people just fine, don't get me wrong, but I appreciate much more a smart detective story.
Yeah. And I think he'll, because Detective right now has definitely had a supernatural air to it. So I am looking forward to getting away from that a little bit. But I mean, it's just gonna, yeah. There's always going to be a lot of glare, but don't worry. I've got a lot of comic books that I'm going to sell you on tonight.
Hang on, I gotta tell you, this right here is one of the funniest things I've seen. Two points to Gryffindor for that one, Matt Posey. That's hysterical. Oh Lord have
I
mercy.
mean, let's see what happens if I turn off this light. I don't know how it's going to look. Is it going to be too dark?
Well, I mean, that depends on the vibe you want to go. I mean, you're giving us some Ram V vibes now, or maybe some House of a Thousand Corpses. I'm not sure which. Yeah, that's creepy, dude. Stop doing that.
All right.
Stop doing that.
We'll flip that one back on then.
All right. So I have something I want to bring up before we launch into comics and such. See, there you go. As a Daniel Major, that's Batman lighting.
That's Batman lighting.
Legion of Comics, what is up? You know, now that I see you on here, I think maybe you ought to come on the show, because one of the big topics we're going to talk about tonight is this right here.
Captain Spaulding, yeah.
Let us know if you want to come on, man. We'll bring you over. So one thing I wanted to talk about real quick is, for anybody who doesn't know, Aaron from up at the shop. He's all in now.
I'll take care of it.
Thank you. I'm going to embiggen myself here for a minute. Aaron up at the shop has gone to school, gotten his degree, and his dream was to work in the film industry, specifically on superhero shows and such, right? Well, his dream has come true. He is currently working on Peacemaker Season 2, and he is in charge of Eagly. I don't have anything Eagly to report, but we do have some of these up at the shop now. Your very own Peacemaker helmet, and it lights up.
See, that would be so much cooler if it was a Cyberman from Doctor Who.
Well, that would be cool, but Aaron's not working on Cyberman from Doctor Who.
Well, I need Aaron to work on Cyberman from Doctor Who.
If you want to support what Aaron's doing, get yourself a Peacemaker little light up helmet. They're like $17. Not a big deal. But grab you one of these because they're cool. That light is actually like not painfully bright, but it's getting there. It is getting there. But yeah, congrats to Aaron. And I will say, being in charge of Eagly, that's a pretty cool deal. That's a lot of responsibility. And I don't know, he probably wouldn't want me telling people this, but the other day, John Cena called him a hero.
He could see John Cena?
Oh, yeah.
But you're not supposed to be able to see John Cena.
Well, he was...
that's for you wrestling fans.
He was visible that day.
Okay.
They were filming a scene, and it was in this real cramped space, and so he's trying to navigate. It's your typical, hey, you're a young guy, so what do you have to do? You have to run out and get coffee for everybody. But he's trying to navigate through this really narrow space, and there's all these wires and camera, all this stuff, and he's like, I just don't think I should go through there, but there's not another way to get through there. And so he's navigating his way through with everybody's coffee. And at the last minute, like, he made it through the whole thing, and the very last wire, his foot catches on it, he trips, and he juggles. But then he manages on one foot as he's falling forward to catch the coffee. And John Cena witnessed this, and it was like cheering, like, whoa, yes! Screaming and hollering. He's like, you are a hero. People need that coffee, and you are bringing that coffee. So I was like, you know what? I'm putting at the top of my resume, hero.
Mm-hmm.
In quotes, John Cena.
And yeah, endorsed by John Cena. Oh, Matt Posey, your comment did not go unnoticed. I saw that.
Harsh,
Mm-hmm.
harsh. Guys, we are bringing on a guest. It's Mega DC man, Legion of Comics.
Hey, that's not the usual decoration.
Oh, that's cool. I'm on vacation.
Look,
You're
comics
the
told me to
man.
stop for vacation. My man is hardcore.
This is our chill day. We just finished eating some dinner. Kids are halfway asleep. This is was this day 7 of vacation? So we need a slow day to recoup.
Awesome. Well, dude, we appreciate you jumping on, man, because I'm curious what your thoughts are. Let's start with what we just talked about. Tom Taylor taking over on Detective for Ram V. What are your thoughts?
I'm not the biggest Tom Taylor fan for ongoing titles. I'm not enjoying Titans. I dropped Nightwing long ago, but he's one of my favorite writers in the world for Elseworld or miniseries. So I don't know. I'm going to pick it up. I'm not going to break my Detective Comics run. That's a title that I'll always get, good, bad, or indifferent. I hope he does great things, but Detective has consistently always been my favorite Batman book because it's not riddled with gimmicks or events. It's just consistent good Batman. So I'm excited for it, but I hope he doesn't do what he did with Nightwing. I hope it's an actual superhero book. And I don't know, Nightwing was just kind of bland for me. Titan sucks right now too.
I'll agree with you on Titans. It started off pretty strong, but it went downhill relatively quick. That whole Beast World thing, I just never did recover from that.
Well, I enjoyed Beast World, but it's just the whole thing. They're not doing nothing. The Titans aren't tightening. They haven't done anything.
And
since.
In Nightwing, that I actually like the Titans more in Nightwing than I do in their own book.
Agreed.
Because they do not show up all the time in Nightwing, and when they do, there's a very specific reason, and it's important, or he makes some type of reference to them that's important to the story that's going on. It's almost like how, and I think we still have that bizarre thing going on now, where Spider-Man is better in everybody's book except his own.
Yeah, I dropped Nightwing after the first time the Titans showed up. Like they showed up for some event and like the dude blew up in Superboy's hand and all kinds of stuff like that. And they were kind of doing like light little crossovers with Son of Kal-El. And then the Titans showed up the first time they showed up. I don't know if they did again later, but I agree that the issues with the Minute were pretty solid. I was just bored in the book more than anything. Like I don't care. I don't care what he's doing in Bloodhaven. I don't care that the Titans are staying around and cleaning up after a flood. I don't care. That's a terrible misuse of the team. That's your front running team of your brand.
Since you don't have a JLA anymore, yeah.
They got the JLA are all dealing with stuff in their personal lives, and they trusted the Titans to take over the stuff for when you need more than one of us. And they literally stepped into doing nothing. They stepped into just cleaning up after floods or staying after a brush fire. That's crazy to me. They should have thrown like mega villains out there and let them earn their stripes.
Well, they can't help it if the villains are like on vacation. They got to do something while the villains are on vacation.
Anything.
So that brings us around to, we showed it earlier. For anybody who hasn't been paying attention or hasn't seen it, DC has told us that they're doing this absolute line, which is like Ultimate DC, right? They're starting over just like they did with Ultimate Spider-Man and all that kind of stuff. But this is their absolute line instead of Ultimate line. And this is the look of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. I will say the creative lineup is pretty good.
Stacked.
it's not as spectacular as I think some people are saying it is. Maybe it's just some of these names are flying under the radar for me, but um, let's talk about the creative teams. What are your thoughts there? Um,
I think it's pretty stacked, all things considered. When you put everything into perspective, I mean, you have Scott Snyder helming the thing.
yep.
That's a stacked name. You have Joshua Williamson there. That's a stacked name. You have Jeff Lemire is coming in right off the jump. That's a stacked name. And when it comes down to the creative team, all I'm worried about is the writers. Like the artists, art will always come and go. You know, there's a big taste involved with art. But if you have the writers, you should be super set. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones that they announced.
Al Ewing was one of them.
Yeah, Al Ewing, for me, that's another home run potential.
What do you think, Alan?
I'm wondering what Williamson, how long he's actually going to be a part of it. If it's something that he's already written, since he's dropped other stuff and he's pretty much moving on to G.I. Joe.
Yep.
So I'm wondering how he's going to really and truly play into it. If Scott Snyder brings the vibes like he did with Clear and Canary, I'll be happy and content. I mean, I will, but we'll just have to wait and see what he actually does with it, because Scott Snyder can be hit or miss with me. I mean, he really can. He can do one thing that, I mean, I absolutely loved Clear, and then he turned around. Dark Knights of Metal, I feel like went on just a little bit too long when he was doing that. And there were aspects of it that I was just kind of like, whatever. I'm already kind of over it. So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see.
Dark Knight's Metal is an interesting thing to bring up because I get a little bit of that vibe from this. Hopefully less disconnected. Because the first issue of Dark Knight's Metal, the very first one out of the gate, I thought that was pretty good stuff. And then I picked up the second issue. The first issue ends like in a pyramid and Batman meets Sandman or whatever. And you're like, okay. And that's where the issue ends. And then the second issue is Batman on a dinosaur running through the jungle, is how it opens. And I'm going, how did we get from Egypt to a dinosaur through the jungle? What is happening? I thought I had missed an issue. I'm going back and looking like, what in the world? Just really disconnected and strange feeling. Overall, I thought the first Dark Knight's Metal was pretty good. I liked some of the spin-offs. The Red Death was particularly good. That one was freaking awesome.
Yeah, all those one-shots were super solid. I like the Drowning a lot.
Oh, that one was they were all very solid. I liked some of them more than others, but they were all solid. The Wonder Woman one
Merciless.
That was heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, that was rough. But I'm curious about what they're going to do and how they're going to go. And I look at this art that they have published here. What jumps off to you guys about the character design?
For me, first off, it's Batman's symbol,
which we get a better view of here. That's not a bat. I'm sorry.
No,
that's a giant.
It's definitely not.
That's a giant freaking patch that somebody stitched onto his costume.
Yeah, which I think he did, because this Batman will not be a millionaire playboy. This Batman will not have a butler. This is a broke man putting on what he can put together and doing this. That's what we're going to be doing differently with Absolute Batman. He will not have the unlimited wealth and resources that we're used to. This will be nuts and bolts. Like, look at the shoulder pads. It looks like he has a little bit of armor protection there. The cape, it looks something. And the symbol is so simplistic. Like, there's no style. It's all scraps.
Is that symbol on his chest, is it supposed to be like metal, like some type of armor, or is it a patch?
It looks like a stitched logo. Now, he does have more little dots on the top of it, the little things flaring off, than he does on the bottom. But it looks like an extremely simplistic version of the already extremely simplistic Miller version almost.
I mean, even though he's supposed to be broken poor in this particular version, I think he could find a pair of scissors and cut out a better bat.
Well, that's what's got my first attention. That's what you asked, because that does not look like our standard bat. His size, his absolute ginormous size also.
The proportions on this tell me that he has been like chugging venom or something, because that's Bane. That's not Batman.
Like if Reacher put on the bat suit.
And not even Reacher, though. Look at those legs, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's
freaking massive.
I mean, I'm glad you made that comment about Bane, because that's what I was sitting here thinking. It would be cool if we actually get into the story and we find out that Batman is dead and Bane is the one that's taken over as Batman. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even think about that. But to my knowledge, it is Bruce Wayne, though.
So I look at this character design, and right out of the bat, I'm like, no pun intended, but right off the bat, I'm thinking, this dude is so jacked. He is so jacked. Why that's not, I'm going to have a hard time accepting that as Batman.
I'm not.
Because Batman should be ripped, but the core element of Batman, the one that just bugs me no end, that it has disappeared from his mythos, except as like people talk about it every now and then, is the detective. He's supposed to be freaking smart. That Batman might be smart, but that looks like a hammer, and the first thing he's going to do is everything he sees is going to be a nail. Well, I want smart Batman. I want the detective. I would love to see how they do it. And that's one of the things I thought was surprisingly good about the Robert Pattinson movie. They had him being a detective.
But it's important to remember that this isn't our normal characters. This is a world that's going to be created because of the events that occur at the end of Absolute Power. It'll be a brand new world that gets created, and these characters are supposed to be familiar in name and first glance only. Like I don't want them to just copy and paste another Batman. We have plenty of them. Give me this one's different. Give me completely different. I don't care. It's an Elseworld. That's by definition. This is just another Elseworld. It can be anything they want. Hell, I'm just happy they didn't make him a vampire, because we have a vampire world Batman already. You know?
We do.
I mean, we have Gaslight. Like, give us something boldly different, so we don't know what to expect when we turn the page. So we don't know how he's going to react when he stumbles upon a dead body with mysterious cause of death. He's like, hell, I don't know what to do. I got to go beat my way to an answer.
See, I would like it.
Bobo would argue that point.
I would like this if that's not Wonder Woman and that's actually Trinity grown up, and that's Jonathan and Damian. I think that would be cool. Damian's lost everything. I mean, he's pretty much, if he's going to be a broke Batman, have it be Damian, have him have lost everything, and now we can turn it into Elseworlds.
But Alan, would Damian ever be broke?
It would definitely be a stretch for Damian to be broke.
I expect Bruce to go broke before Damian.
Well, I mean, Bruce is a billionaire again, so it doesn't really matter now.
Yeah.
I guess for me, the way that they're billing it, the way that it's being perceived anyway, is, like I said, it's like the ultimate universe for Marvel, right? It's like an opportunity to relaunch these characters fresh in a modern setting or a new setting, right? It's not being billed necessarily as an Elseworlds kind of a story.
No, but
I would like to see, if it's going to be a fresh relaunch of these characters, I would like them to stay true to the soul of the character.
Yeah.
And just let us start from scratch with that and see what modern writers can do with it, that kind of thing. Not just change it all up and just like use the costume or a version of a costume and the name. For me, it might as well be, Midnight Man. at that point. If it's not going to have the heart of the character, then what's the point?
Oh, I didn't know what that was at first. Sorry, something caught my attention on the screen. I was like, "What is that?" And I get, well, I mean, then that still leads us though. Pull that picture back up there because that doesn't look like. At least with Batman, we can say, we know that that's Batman, even though we could argue that symbol all day long. But is that Jonathan or is that Kal-El? I mean, what Superman is this? I mean, do we not have a clue?
No, and the funny thing is, the only thing that they kind of teased so far is that there'll be a new Superwoman, identity mysterious. Guess who it's going to be? So they haven't even insinuated that it would be a different character other than Superman, and already pointed out the most mysterious thing will be the Superwoman introduction that's coming.
What's happening, guys? I will say from an artistic perspective, I think that from a character design, whoever designed Wonder Woman is a jerk to all future artists. That tattoo, that whole sleeve tattoo on her arm that every artist is going to have to draw forever. What a nightmare. Having to remember what goes where and all that stuff. That's just going to be a real pain. I'm curious how long that tattoo is going to last.
Honestly, Wonder Woman is the coolest looking out of the three to me.
She looks New 52-ish as well.
That's exactly what she looks like. Yes, you are dead on. That looks like New 52 Wonder Woman. You are 100% right.
And she's got this Final Fantasy style sword thing going. I like that.
Yes. Yeah, with Superman, the strong, that should be nothing, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Superman looks like Brandon Routh when he showed up at the Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo a couple
with
months
the long
ago.
hair.
Yeah.
Please.
That's what it looks like. That's what he looks like. He was like
that is straight up Earl Flynn Robin Hood in a Superman suit.
That Superman drives a Subaru Outback.
Yes, he does.
and
we're all thinking it. He just said it.
I'm here for it though. I love that his arms are glowing red. I'm a Superman stan.
Yes, which is one of the reasons I was excited that you popped on here because that you've got a great perspective.
Look at the S. I like how they simplified it. It's so easily identifiable as a Superman S, but there's just the two yellow spots on it. I love getting the different iterations of the most iconic comic book symbol to ever exist. I like the hair. I'm not going to lie. There's been other photos of it or other drawings of it where it's not quite as Karen, It doesn't look Karen at all in other drawings, but I'm completely down for whatever they give me with Superman. I can't remember a bad take on Superman.
The S kind of looks like the movie version, but softer and rounder instead of all square.
Yeah, it's like they took the Kingdom Come one and just gave it a little bit of curve.
Hey, I got to tell you something I think you'll appreciate as a Superman guy. I don't know if you were on for the beginning of the show when I was talking about this, the Peacemaker helmet.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Aaron, my guy, he's like the son I never knew I wanted. Love that kid. It knows the art director on the Superman film was the same art director on Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. She's just phenomenal. Well, she took him on a tour of the Superman set there in Atlanta before they left to go start filming in Cleveland, right? He comes up to me at the shop and he hands me what looks like a piece of ice.
Fortress?
It's a little chunk of the Fortress of Solitude set.
Let's go.
From the new Superman movie that she gave him.
I'll shoot you my DM, my address.
It's pretty rad. Not gonna lie. But yeah, if you ever get out this direction, I'll definitely show it to you. And if not, I'm sure I'm going to meet up with you at some point, somewhere out your way. But
Yeah, because y'all are coming to Heroes Con next year, right?
that's the plan.
Heroes Con is always
Stop it,
going to
stop
be
it,
difficult.
Alan. Stop it. Just say yes. Just say yes.
You know, yes.
It's not on Father's Day weekend next year.
Oh, is it not?
That's helpful.
Yes, that's very helpful. So that yes might have just actually become a yes.
Yeah, they kicked it up to the 20th through 22nd, I believe.
Yep. Which I am totally okay with. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah, I've
That's your
seen a button
peeps.
up here. It says share to your channel, and I hit it, entitled it "Hanging with Havens Comics." Head over and watch on their channel.
Oh, rock on!
Yeah,
You are
Thank you very much.
You are the
ping my
man.
subscribers.
So, what are you thinking about Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age?
Yeah, I haven't read issue 2 yet. It came out the week we were leaving for vacation. But I love the Gaslight universe, and I was very impressed with issue 1. And I like the idea of the lost civilization being Krypton.
Yes, that was clever. I have to admit, and I'm not too proud to do it. I thought I had great reservations about what in the world they were going to do in Gotham by Gaslight and how they could possibly follow up the original without just smearing it through the mud. Because you don't do that. You don't follow up a classic like that all these years later with completely different people and then just cross your fingers and hope that it's going to be good. I was wrong. They did a great job. I was impressed. I thought it was great. Really, really pleased with how that turned out. And I'm not going to pretend that I was on the bandwagon before that issue came out. I was absolutely not, and now I am.
I felt like
So
it was an
joiner.
example of like care and consideration going into a book, because the language used, the way that people like corresponded with each other from their societal structures, with Selena being like an outcast in a room full of like the higher ups, like didn't feel forced or weird. Every panel was filled to the brim with the city. The city was behind you. You felt closed in, and you could just like look at every little detail and stuff. And it was so well done. Like I even said it myself, like Gotham is a character in that first issue.
And it's the exact same way in the second issue. I mean, it
really is.
You get some more characters introduced. There's one particular, and I don't want to spoil it for you since you haven't read it yet.
You can go ahead. I know about it.
Okay, well, Constantine. After seeing this version of Constantine, I would love to see his spinoff book now, especially with kind of the mission that he's on now and what all they're doing with him. I would love to see a spinoff book of Constantine in this universe.
I'm not going to lie. I would like that too. This is a universe that I feel could sustain a significant chunk of world building and story. I think there's a lot of stories they could tell within this universe, and I would like to see that expanded.
What did I clicked the wrong thing. Oh, I meant to click this one.
What's up, C-Bizzle?
C-Bizzle.
Yeah, I think in this case they might have gotten creators that grew up as fans of the book.
Yeah,
I'll tell you one that I think can never be touched is Kingdom Come. Granted, they've done it, which they did the Kingdom, which was a follow up, which is perfectly fine. We did the proper introduction of Earth 22 in the 2007 Justice Society run. We've done little things in World's Finest where Mark Waid and Dan Mora did Return to Kingdom Come, where they went over there. But I mean like a true to boot follow up, like how the Kingdom was, but kind of just actually returning to that world on that timeline. At this point in time, so many years later, with that book being what it is, you wouldn't be hard pressed to find somebody who would do it with honor and reverence of the core material. Like there's countless people out there that would just imprint their own whatever into it, but some books leave an impression for people and they don't want to see it destroyed and they're making it.
My only thing about that is when you go and it's the same thing. And I mean, I'm like Josh, I've been proven wrong with Gotham by Gaslight. When you remake something like that, or when you're adding to it, on some level, you kind of put people on the edge, especially people our age, because it's like they're messing with our younger years. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't live up, it's god awful. I mean, it'll be the worst thing, and we won't have anything to do with it. So far, Gotham by Gaslight's living up to it. I just don't know if there's a writer. No offense to writers, because there's some great writers out there. I don't know if there's anybody that could honor Kingdom Come that way.
Mark Waid did, but he
Mark Waid good.
Yeah, he did in World's Finest. I cried in that issue. I'm not even going to lie. They also delivered the best iteration of Darkseid we've seen in the past decade.
100% agree with that.
It was insane.
100% yeah, but could he do it? Mark Waid is amazing. Speaking of Mark Waid, and you mentioned Mark Waid and Dan Moore in World's Finest list. What was your take on Absolute Power #1?
Absolute Power, the Blitzkrieg issue. I had to watch it.
You open up with these guys like trying to get away from their robbery on the roof of the building and the helicopter, and don't shoot him. It's just going to make him mad. I was, again, maybe I'm skeptical. My expectations were very, very low. These big event books and all this have just been garbage for so long. And this one, I have no expectations of it being good. I'm like so fatigued with Amanda Waller. I'm so tired of her. All this stuff. She's just everywhere all the time. And I'm just
now she's everywhere now because they're leading into an event how you're supposed to.
Well, she's been everywhere for a bit. And I'm talking movies and shows, the whole 9 yards. Amanda Waller is just everywhere, and I'm just kind of tired of her.
I love Amanda Waller.
Well, in the hands of Mark Waid, as demonstrated in Absolute Power, when she's used well, she's incredible. And holy smokes, I thought Absolute Power #1 was spectacular. It was giving me like early 90s vibes in the best possible way. I really dug it. I liked all the elements of the story came together. I like how they pulled from Superman, how they pulled from Batman, how they haven't really pulled the Wonder Woman thread a lot, but they're pulling from Wonder Woman. And then they're pulling the stuff from Green Arrow. I just thought that all the threads were all pulled together and woven together into this beautiful tapestry that really shocked me. It was phenomenal. I really loved it.
I've been pointing it out since Future State.
I did not like Future State.
I'm saying Future State is when this all started. Like when it legitimately started with the Suicide Squad mini-series they did in Future State for those two issues where they teased it. And then we went right into Infinite Frontier with the Suicide Squad book where Waller headed to Earth 3. And then we went into Lazarus Planet where she got the shard of the helmet. Then Beast, I've been watching this happen for years. Like I've been calling this for years. I actually saw Chuck Brown over a year ago at a convention and was talking to him, and he said, "We got something cooking, and I think you'll like it." I'm like, "Oh, the Amanda Waller War." That's just what I knew to call it at the time. And his face dropped. It's like, "Who told you about it?" I'm like, "Dude, it's obvious if you read across the board. Amanda Waller's been building up something quietly in titles that people sleep on, you know." But I love me some Suicide Squad, so I don't sleep on Amanda Waller stuff. But I think this is the first time we've seen an event properly build in a long time, where it's actually the continuity is good and tight, and the editors are doing their jobs and they're remembering all the little details. And that's why this has been able to deliver that strong first issue, and why I don't know, like the stakes feel there. It feels like it has stakes.
It does.
And the fact that this event is going to be what creates the next, not just initiative, but actual second imprint for DC Comics with Absolute Comics. I think that just says more about how important this event is, not just for the readers, but for the in continuity characters as well.
Now,
I'm glad you mentioned that about having stakes, because I guess it was about 4 years ago now. Marvel was coming out with their whole Empire story, and I had nobody was remotely interested.
That was the last Marvel event I ever read. My Marvel pool is just Ghost Rider and Hulk now. That was it for the events for me.
Well, nobody was interested at all, right? And so I messaged one of the guys at Marvel in their marketing department. I said, "Can you put me in touch with somebody to talk to bring on the air and talk to about this event, and maybe see why people should be excited about this, right?" And next thing I know, the person they're putting to talk to me is Tom Brevoort, and I'm like, I'm going to talk to Tom Brevoort? Okay, cool. Super awesome guy, right? We talked online for 2 hours, and he and I talked for another hour offline. Just a cool dude, totally into comics, great stuff. Well, we brought him on, and the purpose was to talk about Empire, but we talked about a lot of other stuff building around it. And when we got to Empire, I asked him, I said, "Where's the consequence? Where is that?" Because people are tired of these big earth-shattering, mind-blowing events that are going to change the future forever, according to the taglines, and they change absolutely nothing for any amount of time. It might as well have not happened. It immediately goes to the status quo, and that's it. And he's like, "Well, people want the status quo." He didn't have a good answer for me on that. And that's where I was so frustrated, because if there's no consequence, then it doesn't matter. That's why I like continuity, right? Continuity has consequence.
Y'all know that meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with Charlie Day twacked out on coffee, standing in front of the board with all the red strings? That's how I want to feel every week when I'm going through my new comic reads. I want to read them and be like, oh God, how's this going to affect that? What does that mean for what I just read last week in that other book? That's how it's supposed to feel. It's supposed to feel connected. If Batman breaks his arm in this week's issue of Batman and he appears next week in Superman, he better have on a cast. Like show him use the cybernetic hand that he had for a while there. Like let readers of this title know they should go over there and read that to find out how it happened and stuff.
Now, are you reading Green Lantern? I'm sorry, Green Arrow?
Of course.
So
either one, of course.
All right. So in Green Arrow, when you read through Green Arrow from the beginning, we've got Roy, everything that's going on, up to, what are we like on issue 14, 15, somewhere around there?
We just finished issue 12, and issue 13 was the first one where he went after Waller. And
so when I read Absolute Power 1, the one that came out a couple weeks ago, to me, it's kind of coming across, especially if you're following Green Arrow, that Absolute Power in the end is going to ultimately be a Green Arrow story.
He doesn't have powers. I think that's just our Trojan horse character. It's again status quo, good guy working for the bad guy reluctantly. He's not really a bad guy. They showed that in Green Arrow number 13 when Roy came for him and he shot Roy out the building, knowing that he would be saved by the family because Peacemaker was walking in. So he's just playing. He's playing the game. He's staying close. That message that he gave Batman in Absolute Power 1, we're going to find out later. It's cryptic. And if you go back and every 3 words actually says, "Hey, Batman, I got this from the inside," or something,
the way, and it's only going to make sense to people that are reading Green Arrow, but the way they built Green Arrow, if he does not get a true hell yeah moment in Absolute Power, I'm going to be mad as hell.
I'm sure he will. He's Green Arrow.
He's got to have that moment. Just because
he makes his own hell yeah moments. You can trust Ollie to do that.
That's what I was telling Josh. I guess it was last week or week before last. There's been a ton of setup for Absolute Power in Green Arrow alone.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I read across the board. There's been a moderate amount, but what happened in there was massively important with them going to get Sanctuary, which is now what kickstarted Queen Brainiac. Like Queen Brainiac is running on the Sanctuary program from Heroes in Crisis. Like that's insane.
Yep.
That's your back door right there. She's going to become too self-aware, and she's going to go rogue. I still want to see a Queen Brainiac versus Failsafe fight. Like, what better matchup is there for either of those characters?
That would be phenomenal.
For her to go rogue, self-aware, that programming work properly. If Sanctuary is working properly, you don't have a villain.
Yeah, you're right. I do love the interconnectedness of all this, and that part of that becomes very clear when Mark Waid is just such a historian. He knows his stuff, and he loves to make sure that things tie back to other things. And he is a master at that, and I love the way he does that. Really exciting to see. Even though knowing it was written by Mark Waid, my expectations weren't terribly high for this, just because of the nature of what it is. Big event book in the summer. Okay, so done with them. But holy smokes, phenomenal.
Did y'all read any of the tie-ins yet? We've gotten Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, and now Wonder Woman plus Task Force 7, The Rising Sun so far.
I thought Batman number 150 was really good. I thought the upfront story, which was the bulk of it, had nothing to do with Absolute Power, was a solid story. I really enjoyed it. But the Absolute Power tie-in, I also did really enjoy. Yeah. And I've got Task Force 7 here in my stack to read. I haven't gotten to it yet.
Well, I'm kind of glitchy here. I don't know how I'm coming through to y'all, but y'all are like, it's definitely my internet. But what did you say about Batman 150?
I thought Batman 150 was spectacular. I really liked the upfront story. It was what it was, a very simple story. But I thought it was really cool. I liked the way it showed Bruce Wayne using his resources in a good, creative, kind of cool way. But then the Absolute Power story, is that tied in? Holy smokes!
Yep.
You instantly got Bat guilt, right?
Look how good of a tie-in it was. It wasn't a throwaway. It leads straight from issue 1 into that moment. They gave us like hardcore information that the Amazo robot that looks like Wonder Woman is called Paradise Lost, letting us know that all 7 of these Amazos are going to have callback names to classic famous story arcs from these characters past. We also know that they're downloaded with different Batman Zur-Nas. So did you notice the way that they addressed the way that Paradise Lost was speaking? Me and my co-host, we're theorizing that the Zur-Na in Paradise Lost possibly is the Zur-Na of Gaslight, because they pointed out that its language pattern was from a Victorian era.
Yes, I did pick up on that, but I didn't make that connection necessarily, and now I'm intrigued.
And Gaslight's out right now, so it's even a little bit more relevant. If they want to go that route, readers will know who it is that might not have previously.
But see, I wonder if they're going to go into that much detail with it.
It's Mark Waid.
It's Mark Waid. He's never met a detail.
We just called the robot Paradise Lost.
Yeah, I know, but still to go in, because a lot of people are not going to understand Zur. You know, a lot of people are not going to understand the Zur from Gaslight.
No, the fact that like you don't get to not understand Zur. They gave you absolute power ground zero. Not understanding Zur is not an option. That just means you're like digging your head in the sand. If you're participating in the event, you understand that there's Batman personalities from across the multiverse downloaded into these robots. You don't have to understand the intricate nature of Zur-Na and how he was made. You just know that bad guy Batman personalities. That's all you need to know.
I guess I want that level of detail, though.
You have it as a reader. It's there for you. But we're at a point where the details of Zur-Na have been fleshed out tenfold, and we're past explaining that, and now we're just watching it.
Yeah, but I guess this is what I'm getting at though, because to be honest with you, Zuranal was kind of that whole storyline was starting to get on my nerves some because it felt like it was taking forever there toward the end of it.
Had to.
I was getting tired of this version of him. I would like to see more of the Zuranal from Gaslight, or there's going to be a Zuranal from the DC versus Vampires, whatever whatever multiverse that happened in. I mean, if we're going to keep going with the Zur, start giving me some more of them, and not just that whole they're in that one kind of in his mind, and they're all standing around, and you see them drawn together.
Well, you should go back to that page, and you can figure out what Zuranaz that's what people don't get when you're not playing It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That page you just described from Batman, what was it? It was 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
They showed you the page with the multiverse Zuranaz.
Yep.
Now, take that page, put it in front of you, and count how many Amazo robots we have to fill. You're looking at your Amazo army back then. Adam West Batman Zuranal was one of those, I believe.
Yep.
Now, read Task Force 7, Rising Sun. Have you read it yet?
I have not read it yet.
Now, whenever you read any of these, which this is your tie-in series created strictly to give us more time with the Amazo robots, as they're only plot devices, side characters, hired guns in the main title, they'll flush out and let you get a little bit of time with each individual robot through this series.
Yeah.
You're going to get a different one in each one. That book was insufferable because it was a Shazam book, and I hate the auditing dinosaur in the Shazam titles. But what you get to do is you get to listen to it talk. And when you're listening to it talk, you're like, yo, that's Adam West. Like, that's Adam West Batman right there. But you get it, and that's what's fun about it. If you're into that, like you said, like that deep detail stuff, it is all there for you to play with, because we play with it. Every Monday on my co-host Sector 2815, we upload a video every Monday on his channel called the DC Deep Dive, where we just follow the events that are going on. We started at Dark Crisis and Lazarus Planet, Night Terrors, Beast World, Brainiac, House of Brainiac, now this. And we sit there and theorize on all this, and he catches a lot of stuff, and I catch a lot of stuff. And he's been reading everything nonstop for 40 years, DC. So there's a lot of like you're talking about that Mark Waid historian stuff embedded with him as well. So it's fun playing that game, and it's all there to play. But if you're a casual, you can read this just fine and not feel like you're being left out of the joke. It doesn't feel like there's an inside joke taking place and you weren't invited. It really feels well balanced to me.
So you said something a few minutes ago that I really appreciated. You said if you are participating in the event. I like that. You're not an observer. You're participating in the event, which means you have to read it like analytically, right? You have to look at it and put pieces together. And I really appreciate that. I think comics would benefit from more of that kind of reading. I think comics fans would benefit from editorial being with it enough to provide that kind of linkage between books. And phenomenal. I applaud you for calling it what it is, and for actually doing those deep dives, and for being that well up on it, because that's phenomenal. I love talking.
I got Rain Man brain, so when I'm reading it, that's how I read and watch everything. I'm overly analytical by nature, so but it makes it fun for me. Stuff like this with these giant universes that are interconnected, and it like I say it all the time. I love to spec on stories. I like to sit there and think, oh, he sounds like this. Could it be that? And I didn't even think about that page of Zuranaz till you mentioned it. Like that just came to me. That's our lineup for the Amazo robots. You can go back and look at it now.
Yeah, I'm going to dig that one out. And look, my problem is I will get so lost in the story that some of the art details are completely and totally lost on me because I've just gotten so into the story.
That's me all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I know that happens to people, and it's really hurts me when I read Jeff John books, because
Watch
Well,
it.
no, hang on. I'm about to
I know where he's going with this.
with Jeff Johns. If you're not paying attention to the art, you're going to miss a ton of detail. And I think that that's great. But
You just had in your head. I'm gonna pull you in your head. I see it. You just had that double page spread from Redcoat.
That's it right there.
With the tree and all of those things going on. That's what you just had in your head, wasn't it?
Yep. And the library from Redcoat.
So the two Batman that I speculated that is Paradise Lost and Rising Sun both appear on this page. You have Gaslight and Adam West.
Yep.
You have Keaton. You have the Brave and the Bold Batman. The Zur, obviously. Looks like Frank Miller's Batman. Is that? I think we have a Batman it looks like a Batman Beyond possibly, and then an OG up there. What was that Dick Sprang Batman at the top?
Looks like it.
Yep.
There's your Amazo army. Dude, Alan, thank you for connecting dots for me.
I mess up and do something right every once in a while.
Yeah. Talk about falling up.
I will say, Blue Hood, I kind of agreed with you. It looked really good. I watched the first few episodes, and I just didn't care enough to keep watching. So it looked good, but that was
I
it
watched
for me.
episode 1. I don't video game though, so it was just like I'm like, this is Starship Troopers light.
See, I don't video game either, and I had the same impression.
Yeah.
It Starship Troopers, but trying to be serious, right?
See, I hadn't watched any of it, so I don't know.
The only good bug is a dead bug.
I loved that movie. That movie was so good.
What is going on, Phil?
But yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
MI does the dying, Fleet just does the flying.
Yes. That's one of the most quotable, rewatchable films of all time. I showed it to Finn for the first time on vacation because we found the Steelbook while we were here. And you only have to like mute one F word and close his eyes for a couple seconds through like 2 little nudie scenes. And the rest, I don't care about the violence. That's just good old fashioned fun.
Starship Troopers and Hellboy with Ron Perlman are 2 go-tos. If I need to take a good nap, I'm going to put one of those movies on and I'm going to be out like a light.
Just because you've seen them so much?
I've seen them so much, I can sit there and zone out and just go right to sleep.
Yeah, I like those kind of movies that the old faithful. You can turn them on, lay down, close your eyes, and watch it without looking at it, and it allows you to relax until you just drift off.
Yep.
I have the opposite reaction to a lot of those kind of things, right? I'll be flipping channels or whatever. You don't really flip channels so much anymore like we used to, right? But you'll be like, ooh. It's like running across Indiana Jones. Anytime you run across Indiana Jones when you're channel flip, you're going to stay and watch the rest of it. That's just how that's going to be. Something will get my attention, and the next thing I know, it's 2-3 hours later, and I'm like, dang, now I need to watch part 2.
Dude, I'm crispy, John. I was telling Paul yesterday, just when I got rid of my sunburned bat symbol on my forehead, I got more sun again.
All right, so wherever you're at right now, and I'm not going to ask, but wherever
I'm in St.
you're
Simon Island on the Georgia coast.
Okay. Have
You're
you
where?
stepped out a comic book store there yet?
St. Simon's Island on the
St.
Georgia
Simons.
coast. Yeah, it's
Not
in the
familiar
Golden
with that
Isles, like Jekyll, Sea Island, Wolf Island, St. Simon's off of
it's in there.
Brunswick, Glenn
Yep.
County. Yeah, I come here every year. So a few years ago, I was like, man, I want to find a comic shop. And this is an island. It ain't like, there ain't really a comic shop on the mainland either. The closest comic shops are down in Jacksonville, Florida, the chain Coliseum of Comics.
Yep.
My co-host, yeah, they're great. Sector 2815, it's his local comic shop. He lives in Orlando. So every year now, me and Paul, he drives north, I drive south, and me and the family meet in Jacksonville, hang out for the day, have lunch, and me, Paul, and Finn peel off, and we go do a comic shop crawl. And my wife, my oldest daughter, who's like about to be 17, my youngest Monkey, who's 4, and my mom go shopping, and we just bounce all around Jacksonville. So I hit up 3 Coliseum of Comics this year, picked up some cool stuff, and I posted the video this I think it was this morning, but the most recent video on my channel is us doing that.
Okay, I have to watch that video because we do that whenever we go somewhere different. We always track down a comic book store to go check out. I just like going and looking at comic book stores in other places just to see. Yeah. I mean, you go to a comic book store in a different city, you get like a different feel for comics entirely because you're seeing it through their eyes and the way they like to set stuff up. And I just think it's fun to do.
Their shops look great, but they don't have the heart and soul that my LCS does. I've never been in Havens, obviously.
You talking about Coliseum?
Yeah, they don't. It feels like a chain.
Feels
like
a little corporate-y. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, and the I mean, I don't think there's a shop like there's not. I don't think there's many shops like the one I go to. My LCS is one of the oldest shops in the Southeast. Not the oldest, but one of the oldest. The guy who owns it's been working there for 40 years. He started as an employee. Now he's the owner. He's just, it's part of who he is. My dad was a regular. It was a buy, sell, and trade paperback bookstore before a comic store. My dad was a regular in that shop back in the day, and so I've been going to the comic shop since before I can remember. It was my first job I ever had. Now my kids have been going with me ever since, and it's just, you go in there and the first thing you think to do isn't go grab your books, look at the wall, and sit down. You know what I mean? And that's and every person that walks in, whether I know them or not, I'm talking to them. It's the most welcoming feeling. You feel like you don't walk in this space unless you're ready to nerd out, because I'm about to make you.
So this is how it is at Haven. If you go into Haven on a Saturday morning and you're like a regular that knows what goes on at Haven on Saturdays, which I don't go up there a ton on Saturdays, but when you walk in the door at Haven on the Saturdays, you can tell the regulars because they're headed straight to the back room to see what snacks are back there.
Yeah,
especially the big boy regulars.
You do gaming and stuff as well?
Not a ton. We don't have a lot of room for it. We're 1,000 square foot shop, and we got 800 or so square feet in the front and 200 square feet in the back, which is mostly, we have a big table back there we use for gaming, but it's mostly where we process our orders and backroom kind of stuff. But what you described is like, you kind of come in, you're going to talk to people, there's going to be the conversation. That's what we look for. Yeah, I mean, first of all, and I tell my folks this all the time, it costs absolutely nothing to be nice to people. When they walk out the door, if their complaint is I got crappy service, I'm going to be ticked.
Yeah,
you're not going to
have a job. Yeah,
right. If we didn't have what they were looking for, okay, that happens. We can't all carry everything, right? But if they leave and they say, well, this place I felt welcome. This place, I walked in, it was a warm, inviting atmosphere. That's what I want, and that's what we got. And I think we have the community of people that creates that and makes that like keep going. They perpetuate that. So we've got customers, like if I'm in the back room and I'm doing something and we hear the door open, like I would jump up and run around and say, hey, how you doing? Can we help you find something? Whatever. I'm not the fastest guy in the world. I'm huge. Customers, well, hey, can we help you find anything? I mean, they're jumping out and helping to talk to people. And I'm like, that's how it should be right there. That's a comic book shop.
Yeah, that's how I wander the shop and I'll just be looking over people's shoulder at what they're buying. Oh, yeah, that's a good book. Yeah, what'd you think of it? Because I want to talk about these things with people, and that's actually what gets me. That's what gets me excited about reading them. Just like think of House of Dragons or an actual good television show that people enjoy. You're ready to watch it, not just to see what happens, but to immediately see the credits start, so you can start messaging people, so you can start getting into social settings and discussing what happened. And oh my God, where do we go from here?
Did you see that? Oh my God, did you catch that detail? Or the shared experience is part of what makes it awesome. And I feel the exact same way. I grew up going to comic book shops where, like, Wednesdays, back in the day, it was Thursday. Actually, originally it was Fridays because that was New Comic Book Day. And then it became Thursday. Then it became Wednesday, right? But you get the New Comic Book Day nerd fest at the comic shop where everybody is just like, Oh my God! And back in the day, it was X-Men and Spider-Man and Death of Superman and Breaking of the Bat and Azrael, and you have all these different things going on. But we all were reading it. We all were talking about it, and the more you talked about it, the more you noticed something and the other guy didn't, or he noticed something and you didn't, and you start to compare notes, and it makes the experience that much richer.
Mm-hmm.
And it works for you and it works for them, and then they share that, and it just grows, and that enthusiasm and that excitement is really, really awesome, and that's what we strive for. We're not a big store. We're a tenth the size of the big store in town, literally a tenth their size. They're massive, and you know what? I don't care. Would I love to have their footprint and their money? Sure, I would, but I'll take my atmosphere any day.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Sorry, but I think we hit at the same time. And I'm sure we're going to talk between now and then, but next year is the 10th anniversary of the Pop Culture Expo here in Huntsville, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I know Dustin Ellis will be coming over for it. You should bring Finn and y'all come hang out for at least that Saturday.
Nah.
What, you can't drive 4 hours this direction?
Nope.
Okay.
Ask anybody that knows me. Nope.
You might change your mind when you see the guest lineup.
Probably not. I'll just be super sad that I can't make it. I leave town twice a year, one to come on vacation and one to go to Heroes Con. I hate traveling.
You need to make an exception for 2025 and make it 3 times that year.
Look, the exception is Heroes Con. I don't have to drive. I let my dad drive.
We all know Nick needs to be slapped every now and again.
Yeah. Dan's in the chat. He'll tell you I don't leave town. The Blue Hellions here. He can tell you. My wife got me to go to Atlanta one time in the last handful of years by secretly buying me Journey tickets for Christmas, and I was pissed.
But you're not too far from Atlanta, are you?
Yeah, I'm like an hour and a half, dude.
Oh shit! I thought you were like right outside of Atlanta.
No, I'm in Augusta.
That is right outside of Atlanta. That's how long it takes to get there.
Yeah.
I'm an hour and a half away from Atlanta, dude. And I was pissed. I hate Atlanta.
It's an hour and a half away. That's approximately 2 miles.
The only good thing about Atlanta is when I drive through it going to Disney World at 7:00 in the morning.
The good thing about Atlanta is when it's in your rearview mirror.
That's correct.
Well, I feel the same way about New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm sure I would have a blast at the convention. And in all seriousness, my disdain for traveling isn't for actual traveling. It's from having to leave home, like with running the kennel and with the kids being small. It's just a very difficult time in life where the idea of the logistics just takes a lot of the piss out of anything I want to do. Thank you, John. He knows.
We all just show up at his house.
Yeah, I'm
the whole weekend.
More than open to it. You're more than welcome. But
we can come and pet dogs.
If the stars all align, that'd be great. But logistically, it's just a tough time to do something like that. And but I do want to go back to Absolute Power.
Yeah,
real quick if we can. Do you get the DC Connects?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember not this most recent one, but the one before it had the Absolute Power cover that had Superman featured in the black costume, and then it had a blacked out mystery character saying who will it be? It's like the next edition, an unsolicited addition to Task Force 7, and you can tell that it would have like mechanical parts. I caught it then and I've talked about it. It's got to be John Kent. They're cyborging John Kent. And then we saw that happening at the end of issue 1. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it. I hadn't really thought to look at the DC Connect with that much interest. I'm going through it just trying to put together the list of the new sign-up sheet for subscribers, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
The cover had the teaser on it of Waller will be adding another one. And I'm like, if they're black suiting Superman, it's just right to get a cyborg in my mind. And if she's going to cyborg an existing character and it's Amanda Waller, she's going to do something so disgusting and evil that it has to be his son.
You know, I didn't think about that on any level. I was kind of, and I remember what you're talking about now. I would like to see some type of return of the Eradicator.
He hasn't gone anywhere. Eradicator's there. He's in
I
the
know, but I'm talking about in Task Force X, because Eradicator is really just, well, in fact, last time I saw him, I thought he was just like some type of consciousness hologram thing.
He's in the Fortress of Solitude. It's a program. The Eradicator is a program.
But if they could cyborg Jonathan and upload Eradicator to him,
he would kill himself.
Well, I know,
but Kryptonian impurity, yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'm done.
The Eradicator's job is to eradicate Kryptonian impurities. The next time we see him should be coming soon when Doomsday gets here. Thank you. My wife just went dun dun dun.
Yeah, because that was the punch at the end of one. Which was it? The House of Brainiac when they wrapped that up.
Yeah, the finale to the House of Brainiac. It was part 6, technically 7, but part 6 of House of Brainiac. After the story was over, the epilogue showed the 4 panels of the Fist. If you read it about 8 months ago, they did the one-shot Doomsday in Hell. Fantastic. They brought Bloodwind back with a new character having the helm, but you saw that Doomsday, a pretty protected character for a villain that's been around for as long as he has, is where he's at. He's in hell. He's been killed. You know, the whole, what was it? Hunter Prey, they took him into all the way into entropy, and then back in not long after that, he popped up at one time and he got just like blasted by some celestial being kind of thing. Last time I remember seeing him the last time I remember seeing him in any meaningful way was like Infinite Crisis, when he showed up as like a big hitter for the Villains United, and the 2 Supermen came in and one punched him out. But he's in hell, actively beating his way out of hell, and everyone in hell, the demons, the devils, they're worse off for him being there. They can barely keep him there, but he's returning in a really, really big way. And there's a laundry list of characters that are alive now that never experienced Doomsday.
Yeah.
And he can't die the same way twice, and he's in hell right now. So he's about to come back super powered.
So that's going to be cool when they bring him back, because you know, at first I was kind of ho-hum on the whole House of Brainiac, but I ended up loving that story. That was great.
Yes, you did. You went all in on that.
And then the whole the House of Brainiac, that ended up being so good. And now there were some scenes, like some panels where it's showing basically Queen Brainiac. And when I see her, the only thing I can think is I want to see her go one-on-one with a xenomorph.
Oh, she shredded a Darnian army.
I know, but there was just something about the design of her that felt like what's his name? H.H. Geiger? Is that how you say it?
H.R. Geiger.
H.R. Geiger. It literally, that's what it felt like to me.
Let me ask you a question. Go ahead. I
was going to say they've fronted back into that series so well, because by the time I'm reading issue 2.5, really issue 3 of the House of Brainiac, I was like, yo, this is really good, but we have a Zarnian army, and there better not be a Zarnian army by the end of this book.
Yep.
They're like, you can't introduce this many nonchalant Zarnians. They're too OP for Lobo to not be the main man anymore. And that second to last issue where she needed more power and she just decimated that army, I was like, well done.
Mm-hmm.
Well done.
All right, you talk about Lobo. We're talking about that particular issue of House of Brainiac story. What have you thought of the Mark Spears covers that he's been doing?
Y'all put me on him. I've been following him. I didn't see, but the one that he did for Absolute Power, or the Queen Brainiac cover, that art was actually used inside of the free comic book day edition, which I messaged him and I told him, like, hey, your art is actually in this book in case you didn't know. And he didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
And then the Superman 1 in 25 that he did with Lobo was fantastic. And that book,
that Lobo, that's one of my favorite Lobo images ever. The fact that he was using Superman's cape or his logo is like his napkin. Oh my God, that was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was so clever, and that was such a great way for him to use that bizarre color palette of his that he somehow makes work. I just thought that whole thing was inspired. That was a great cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he crushed it. He's a fantastic artist. I like seeing that he's doing all this stuff with the Universal Monsters as well, because I love me some Universal
That's his
Monsters.
own book.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read through the first 3 issues of it. I did a little bit of proofing for him on the first one.
I think I'm about 4 or 5 issues, somewhere right around there is what I read of it.
Yeah.
And that story gets better with every issue.
It does. Yeah.
And you're going to love the art on it, because it's one of those books that you can't help but stare at the art. The way
Is he doing all the interiors?
Yes.
Yeah, he's doing everything.
That was one of his things. Was he wanted to? He loves doing the covers and stuff, but he has been wanting to do interiors. He's been on. He's like, I want to do interiors on a book, and nobody was giving him interiors, so he's like, I'll just do my own book.
Can you imagine? Like that's not like your standard price per page artist, though. Not for the type of art he's doing. That's
well, he's doing pencils, inks, and coloring, so I should hope he would get paid for all those.
That's what I'm saying. Not just that, like the art style commands more than one of these guys that can just bam it out like in 5 minutes on a little tablet. You know, it's wild.
What's up, man?
Yeah, I cannot wait until that entire series hits the shelves, because I need everything. I mean, I've even read them, and I still plan on going and buying them. I mean, that's how much I enjoyed them.
Well, you have to. You got to support your guy, right? For one. But he's doing a cover. I don't know if you guys saw, but Larry Hama has gotten together with Guy Dorian. Guy Dorian was the artist on ROM Space Knight back in the day, and now he's a rep for guys, like an agent kind of thing. And he's repping Larry Hama, and he and Larry Hama are putting out a book on Kickstarter called Werewolf versus Mounties. And Mark Spears is doing a cover for that. He's doing a Werewolf versus Mounties cover.
Yeah, I saw that on his IG. He shared it already.
Yeah, fantastic. But
I almost sent it to all my Canadian friends.
It's set in the 1920s, which I dig. I like that. I don't know. I'm a sucker for a period piece.
Talbot, or is it just a random werewolf kind of thing?
I think it's just a random werewolf. I don't know. Knowing Larry Hama, there will be more to it than that. Because Larry Hama is he don't mess around. Here we go.
I got his signature on my Dark Claw #1 at Heroes this year. I was at the Comics Curing Cancer booth and couldn't get around to him, but my pops ran over to him, and my pops has been collecting and reading since 1962. So he got over there, got in line, and got to talking with him. And by the time they were done talking, he didn't even charge him for the signature, and he was asking $20 a signature. So I'm like,
nice.
Or let's send my dad more often to get signatures, because he doesn't get stuff signed. He'll walk up to he'll walk past the line up to creators all the time to say, "Hey, I just wanted to say I appreciate your work. Thank you so much. Just want to shake your hand," kind of thing, you know, just to say hey and meet him one time. He doesn't need his stuff signed. He doesn't even like digging it out to take with him or nothing.
I tell you, this was in Chicago back in 2005, 2006, somewhere in there. I was talking with Wheezy Simonson.
Yeah, she killed Superman.
Among many other things she did, but yes. I was talking with her, and just like boom, boom, like in-depth conversation. It was awesome. She's incredible, right? Just amazing person. So I'm talking with her, and this kind of vaguely homeless-looking guy comes walking up and hands her a cup of coffee. And I look up at this dude, and I'm like, oh my God.
It's Walt.
And it's Walt. He wasn't supposed to be at that show. He was not a guest at that show. He wasn't supposed to be at that show. And I was just like, holy smokes. And she just looks at me and she goes, "I've lost you, haven't I?" And I was like, no. I'm so sorry. I was just surprised because he wasn't, on the list. He wasn't supposed to be here. And she says, "Do you have a pad of paper or something?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And she says, "Hand that to me." So I hand it to her, and she goes, "Walt, draw the man a picture." And he's like, "Wheezy, I'm not." And she said, "Walt, And he's like, he spits out this Thor in like 15 seconds flat, and it's flawless. And he like hands it over to me. Holy smokes. That's up on the wall at the shop right now, and it's beautiful, and I love it. Hey, man, you have a good one, Dan. Always good to see you, brother. Um, uh, that's true and not true. Skybound is paying him royalties, and he is getting royalties off of the compendium sales as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I really love about Robert Kirkman is he's taking care of people, and he is going to take care of Larry Hama.
Oh, that's fantastic. So hopefully that'll change soon then, John. That's good
Yeah,
news.
Yeah, Larry Hama has not gotten royalties and such on a lot of his past stuff that he did back in the day, but he gets royalties on everything now.
Okay, here we go. Image Comics. Yeah, I don't think Image ignores their creators. That's why they exist.
Right.
So that's good to know that Larry's in where he should be now.
But yeah, the sales of this compendium, which raised $3.7 million on Kickstarter, and I'll be honest with you, the 3.7 is a low number. That's not even accurate because retailers who backed it have not placed their orders yet. You had to pop in $50 as like earnest money as a retailer, but you're going to order X number of copies of it, so there's going to be that much more in orders that come off of this compendium. I know at Haven we're a small shop, but we're ordering 10 sets.
Holy crap! I hope you already have those sold to.
I've already got 7 of them sold.
Okay. Because it's 3, right? 3 volumes in the set, or is it 4? 4.
4 volumes in the set. But
what's the MSRP on that?
$300.
That's not bad for 4 giant compendiums.
For 4 compendiums in a box set, and that box ain't no joke either. It's not just like 3 sides of cardboard. It's or 5 sides of cardboard. It's big. It closes the whole 9 yards. It's a fancy looking box. But then there's all the add-ons and stuff too. The stickers, the holograms, the cards, the various other comics, the reprints of G.I. Joe 21 and Special Missions and all that stuff. All of that is going to be part of it. So it's a good deal for $300. But I thought the way that they broke it out into G.I. Joe side and a Cobra side, and you could pick, was both dastardly and damn clever of them, because I know what they're doing, and I still want both.
Yeah, they're trying to get you to buy double.
They want you to drop $600 and get the same book twice, just with different covers. And I'm like, but I'm a sucker, and I'm so mad.
Did you do any of the new omnibuses from DC Marvel actually working together to print their crossovers as well as their amalgam?
Yeah, we had. I thought it was interesting that those were all published and solicited through DC, both of them, not one by Marvel and one by DC, which is what I expected. All through DC. I thought that was an interesting point. But that we didn't. The price point on that freaked a few people out, but it's not bad at all.
Yeah, I was about to say it's like like $120 for like the basic cover if you wanted it. Which the basic cover is still a Perez or a Ramita.
Yep.
And then or you can pay the extra $20 for the Jim Lee cover, which that's what I did. I didn't get the Marvel and DC one. I got the amalgam one though, because I was talking to Dan Jurgens and he was telling me that because I didn't read it, it might be solicited, but he said that the alternate endings, because they had to write and draw both endings because of when the votes would come in versus printing the issues.
Right.
So there's an ending where Hulk beats Superman, where Namor beats Aquaman, where Quicksilver beats, well, that wasn't a vote, but where Lobo beats Wolverine, where Wonder Woman beats Storm. So there's alternate endings that we've never seen. They're supposed to be included in it. and
I did
need
not
that
know
in my
that,
life.
and that's awesome. I'll be
That would be
excited to see
cool.
that. You said Namor though, and that
I'm sorry,
reminded me.
Namor.
Namor.
Oh, don't
Namor.
look at me. I keep swearing up and down. It's actually pronounced manga because everybody else is wrong.
Manga.
And I do it just to make people mad because they do take high offense to that. Is that the new one?
Yeah.
What'd
Is
you think
Namor
about it?
on the hospital bed for issue 1 cover?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
lame. Real heroic looking.
Not if you read it. It's really interesting.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Didn't know we had a new Namor #1.
I've never been that big of a Namor fan.
That's an interesting book right there.
He's a cool character.
I'm very curious to see where it goes.
The last time I read anything with him was I'm going to say this the way I want to say it, but Maestro World War M, which was like the third mini series that followed up the Hulk Maestro stuff. How Marvel did those cool retro titles, and they've done like multiple.
Yeah, the ones that came after Future Imperfect all those years ago, right?
Yeah, really recently too. But they went down to Atlantis and battled it out with Namor and his family in the most recent one. Those are fun.
But this is an interesting book. It kind of picks up in the middle of the story and after some things have happened. And now you can't blame the man. I mean,
no.
Have you seen her? I mean,
have you seen her?
That's kind of ironic to ask.
Tell me, have you seen? Have you seen?
I didn't even think about that. It is.
Have you seen The Invisible Woman?
That's fantastic. Oh my god, that's that's a t-shirt right there.
Yeah, have you seen The Invisible Woman? Missing.
Yeah.
It has like a milk carton with nothing on it.
Yeah, that's a t-shirt right there. I would love to see that. That's my next Fantastic Four sketch cover right there. That's what I'm going to get. But yeah, it's see, you talk about the Maestro miniseries and all that. Back when Peter David was writing the Hulk, it was interesting, the whole Smart Hulk direction that he went and all that. I loved it. I was on board. Really enjoyed it. And I thought the Future Imperfect story was fantastic. I haven't loved all of the Future Imperfect follow-on stuff they've done since then, but I really liked what he did in that original one. He does have a question for you. Are you going to be doing your regular Friday stream?
I was answering in the chat.
Oh, okay, sorry. What's up? Thanks for joining. We appreciate it.
What up, J-Med? If y'all are watching on my channel, make sure you hit the pinned comment and hop over to their channel. It's streaming on both, but hop over to Haven's channel and hit the subscribe button over here.
Which quite a few of your folks have done tonight, and we appreciate that.
Yes, thank you very much. We picked up several subscribers tonight.
Dude, yes. His X Factor run is phenomenal. The early X Factor was great, but yeah, Peter David's run was great.
So
I
what
love
is
their
this?
costumes. That's my favorite Cyclops costume ever. Like how they all just had the big X's that were matching. The blue
What is
suit,
this
big
new
white
X Factor that's coming out?
It looks good.
Well, the new X-Men looked good too.
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't. I'm not a big Stegman fan. I've never really
kudos
cared
to
for
everyone
this
who
stuff.
thought it did. We said earlier, I said art is always subjective, so I always look at who's writing the book that matters. No, it didn't.
Well, Jed McKay, I'm a big fan of Jed McKay.
I'm
I
not.
love what he's doing on Moon Knight. I'm just love what he's doing on
I
Moon
read
Knight.
Vengeance. I tried to read Vengeance of the Moon Knight and spit on the book and threw it away. It was so poorly written.
No.
You can't read that book without reading the entire Moon Knight run leading up to it.
Not true.
Incorrectly labeled #1. That was really Moon Knight number 31 is what that book was.
I understand the whole thing with that, and I had the backstory going into it. I did. What I didn't like was literally the writing. Like, I can remember it vividly. You had the word Midnight Mission said 33 times in one issue. Every time characters interacted, it's like they never talked to each other before. When whatever her name was met up with Tiger in the warehouse, and they just confrontation, run to each other and get in each other's noses and talk to each other like this, and then turn the page and nothing. It was just a poorly executed book on all
See, and
angles.
I liked it.
I'm not doing that. I think it might have gotten better after that, for sure. And even my good buddy Flash by Night, who's a diehard Moon Knight fan, he's like, that wasn't a good example of Jed McKay. I'm sorry for your loss. And he's still on it. He's still on it. He told me
I agree. It was not his best. That was not his best.
Did you see what Flash by Night posted about the Moon Knight #0? Oh my God, it's on Instagram, and I can't. It's
Monkey. I'll open it.
I can't remember exactly who he has on there, but it's really funny. And across there, he says the issue where Khonshu makes it all about him.
Not well, that's exactly what that was. Yes.
Yeah, but everybody that read that issue knows that at the end of it, when he says my son, my Moon Knight, that's the hell yeah moment of the book right there.
Brother John, you I feel a kinship with you, man. You're saying what I'm thinking. I love it.
Yeah, the thing about Blood Hunt, though, and it goes back to what we talked about earlier, there's no consequences from Blood Hunt whatsoever. The only thing this storyline has ultimately done is brought Mark Spector back to life, but we knew that was going to happen regardless. I mean, it was only going to be a matter of time.
I think they have a good thing going for them, though, with the Red Band issues, because even being a non-consequential book, an event out of nowhere, you're getting something unique, and I appreciate good gimmicks.
I appreciate a good gimmick, too. I think some of these issues with the Red Band makes, like the first Blood Hunt, okay, you don't want to show Doctor Strange getting utterly eviscerated, but you get that in the Red Band issue. Okay. Other issues have been Red Band, and I don't see why. Like, there's nothing there.
Are you getting more pages in them? I know the first one had like 4 more pages, right?
It's supposed to be 2 or 4 more pages. Yeah.
And to be honest with you, there's nothing on these pages that to me would make it a Red Band book.
Would warrant that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. You can see far worse in any given issue of Spawn. You know, there's just not that much there to, hey, we're going to put a bag in it and call it Red Band and blah, 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 blah.
No, I agree with that.
I got my teeth with the first issue, though. Did y'all get your teeth?
Yeah, I think they're in my 18-year-old son's bedroom because he was running around the house chasing the cat the other night with him.
Is he going to take us off to the Air Force with him?
Because it was chasing your son.
Do what? Well, I chased him the other night with one of those electric zapper flash waters. So, you know,
as all good fathers should.
Yeah, chasing down the hallway screaming, "Come back here, let me love you." You know.
So you mentioned that you like a good gimmick, which means in comics you've had a lot of experience with those over the years. What are some of your favorite gimmicks?
All-time favorite gimmick
ever done. I'm dying to know. Let's talk.
All-time favorite gimmick is the Reign of Superman 4 matching die cuts.
Okay, why? What made that stand out?
Hold on a second.
I mean, that was a good gimmick.
One of my favorite gimmicks was I want to say it was the Outsiders back in the day. Travis Charest did a covers that matched up. There are all these like circles and bubbles all over all the covers, and no matter which way you paired them up next to each other, this side, this side, this side, this side, this side, whatever, that matched up. There was no wrong way to put those two covers together. And I thought that was brilliant on his part. Just like really well done. Like not a consequential gimmick, but it was one that I always thought was really cool. And I keep expecting other people to do it, and nobody ever has the guts to do it.
For me, with those die cuts, that's my favorite just because of how impactful it was to me at the time. Because of my age, like I didn't think Superman would be dead forever, but he was dead. Like I legitimately believed he was dead. You know, I didn't think death was permanent in that medium, even at that age. But looking at the reign of Superman was insane for me. Like seeing the Eradicator, my older brother, my older by 2.5 years, thought Eradicator was the Superman reborn. Seeing Superboy, that was awesome with the leather jacket and the glasses. Steel, like, yo, that was absolutely awesome. But we knew that wasn't him. We knew, like, I knew it wasn't Superboy, but then the Cyborg Superman, I legitimately believed, like with Terminator 2 being a huge movie for me, I'm like, yo, that's the real Superman. But getting those die cut covers and getting to sit them there with those symbols and seeing how they're all different and just like what that did for my imagination and watching it all come together and just, I don't know, I just couldn't get enough of that. And it's just so cool. Just opening it and seeing like the full page splash right there too.
Yeah. I never thought about it that way because I was never a big Steel fan. And I've got those covers at home, but I was never a big Steel fan. And after about the first maybe 10 issues that I had to deal with him, Superboy was getting on my damn nerves. I mean, pretty quick.
Yeah, they made him insufferable, but as a kid, I loved him because what did he spend his day doing? Hanging out on beaches, hitting on girls, just telling you how cool he was. And as a kid, I'm like, yeah, this dude's cool. Did you hear him tell me he's cool? That's how I know he's cool. You know, but as an adult, you're like, dude, this guy sucks.
But see, I was an adult when it came out.
Yeah, he didn't get good till Jeff Johns got his hands on him, and then he became next level. Connor, when he like introduced Con-El and all that, 13 Titans, I was, oh my god.
I've never been an adult. Let me rephrase that. I was probably as close to being an adult as I was ever going to be when he came out.
Yeah,
that sounds fair.
Yeah.
What are some of your other favorite gimmicks that have come out in comics?
Well, obviously foil covers and stuff. I mean, that's always fun. Like I like polybag covers, like when you don't know what the covers are going to be. Like most recently, I like what they did for that Sergeant Rock series that they did, that 6-issue miniseries last year, how issue 1 had a polybag and you had no clue what it was. And I didn't go online and cheat. I bought the polybag like a man, and then I went home and I thought about opening it. And I'm like, well, I can't. So I went back and bought a second polybag like a man and went home and I opened that one. And I opened it up and I was rewarded for being a man by a beautiful Frank Whiteley cover of a zombie with a hole in his head with Sergeant Rock on the other side. I'm like, and that's why you man up and buy 2. Gimmick worked.
I love your style, man.
The gimmick got me. I bought 2.
You just took me back to 1991 X-Men release with those 5 covers and then the gatefold cover. Yeah. And every last one of us had to have all of those covers plus a bonus one to open.
Then the gatefold. Well, this one's different. They're all together now. I can hold it all together and look at it.
And yes. Oh, that's a great one. Yes, the music covers and the ones that had the roaring and such.
Yeah, I got both of those. I got multiple of both of those, and you know the price tag on them.
They were pricey, yes.
And a set for my children. My son's running around here with a Godzilla toy right now, and Monkey is a King Kong fan, so they got their respected copies.
Fantastic. No, I had forgotten about that particular gimmick. That was good. I loved the old one, and I think we've still got this book in the dollar box at the store. The Malibu Protectors number 5 with the bullet hole through the middle of it.
All the way?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
And as it's a polybagged book, which as it turns out, the polybag in our dollar box is open, but the polybag has writing on it, and it's not a bullet hole. It's a energy beam or energy blast, whatever.
Of course.
Here's the thing. Like the idea of a bullet hole through the middle of your comic book, vaguely interesting, right? If they used it to any kind of actual effect in the comic, like to lay out the pages or whatever, that would have been cool. As it was, they just took a comic book and then took a drill press and went ba-boom and shot a hole through the middle of it. So sometimes it goes through the middle of a panel, sometimes through a word balloon. It's right in the middle of the page. They just didn't think about that at all when they did it. If they had thought about it, and they could have laid it out and done really cool stuff.
Yeah.
With the artistic
actually having interacting with it on the panel. Like if a building's falling or if there's a fight happening.
Oh, that's another one. You talk about the bloody stuff. Was it Bloodstrike #1 from Image back in the day is number 1
Yep.
or number 2, with the bloody cover, the thermal reactive cover that when it got warm, you could see the blood, feel the
That's
blood.
good.
So you'd have to use your body heat to activate the blood.
That's pretty cool. I think lenticulars is a lost art form. I don't know why they fell out of favor with comics, but we saw them with the Beast World had a lenticular variant, which was cool to get. But before then, I can't remember the last time we got a good run of lenticulars. I know Marvel did.
Well,
a
the best
few
lenticular for me
retros.
was
Now, didn't we get a few on Action Comics several years ago?
God, the one I'm thinking was
Future's End,
the Batman,
Grim
and
Knight.
but it was the Batman where it had the smiley face from Watchmen.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Doomsday Clock.
Doomsday Clock.
Or
Yeah,
before Doomsday Clock. God, now man, the button. The name of the story
the
is
button. The button.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that lenticular was really well done. I will say, for whatever reason, DC has the code on good lenticular covers, and Marvel,
Blurry
their
as hell.
lenticulars suck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't ever get the
quality-wise.
full image. It's always
No.
partial images blurred together.
Like, how do you not have the same technology DC has for this?
Now,
What is
you
wrong?
know the Spider-Man the four set, the red, blue, black, and green that had the hologram. And
Yes.
It was like the
Yep.
trading card. That's where you get your first Miguel. Those
The ones
trading
that
card
I remember
hologram-
were similar to the DC covers, the Robin series that had
yeah,
those.
yeah,
Yeah.
Joker's Wild Robin thing that they did.
Yeah.
From the Robin 2. But those holograms, like X-Men, when they did those few on there, but when they did the cards on those hologram images have so much depth to them. I've never
Mhm.
seen anything outside of those trading card hologram style pieces that have that kind of like actual depth to them. And I don't know why no one's come along and gave us like a $12 cover price on a full comic size hologram cover yet.
Did you ever see the glass covers that Valiant put out? They did 2 of them that I know of. They did one for Bloodshot, and then they did one for Livewire. And that one, if I could have gotten one of them, the Livewire one would have been the cool one, because it's a glass cover. Like it's a pane of tempered glass that is the cover.
That's crazy
on the front. But the Livewire one was also like black white reactive. And it had these glow in the dark like circuitries and all this kind of stuff running on it. Was super cool. Oh, dude, yes, How in the name of all things holy? Although I despise that Eclipso cover because it tears up bags and boards. It's a miserable thing to store with other.
You gotta
comics.
put it in the next size up.
It damages the comics in front of it. It's just a nightmare. But no, how do we not have an Infinity Gauntlet cover like that? You're 100% right.
I mean, you're getting all the Disney covers now. You should be happy. There was an Infinity Gauntlet in there.
You shut up with that. I'm so mad. I'm so mad.
They're going to keep running that as long as people are buying them.
They will, and they're going to keep artificially inflating their Amazing Spider-Man sales numbers with those Disney covers until that stops working, and then they'll figure out something else.
Speaking of sales numbers, y'all saw while House of Brainiac was running, and we haven't been far enough removed out of it for me to see the available data yet. But while House of Brainiac was running, both Superman and Action on a monthly basis was outselling the Bat titles across the board.
Yeah, that's the first time in ages where that has happened. First time in ages. And much as I am a Batman homer, and I've not been a big fan of a lot of the rest of the DC books, historically, not for any length of time, but I come and go between them. I'm super glad to see that, because a couple of years ago, it was in April, I want to say 2022, 38% of all the solicits that DC put out in the month of April 2022.
Yeah, they had 21 separate Bat titles.
Were all Bat titles.
Mm-hmm. Or Bat adjacent.
Yeah, Batman family titles. That is oversaturation.
Yeah, but Batman kept the lights
degree.
on. It's oversaturation, but the thing is, people buy them over the other stuff. You can't really blame the company because I'm not like, I love Batman. That's not my go-to. You know what I mean?
Well, I
But
think the problem
you're
for
at
me
the point
is,
where you don't have the money to let's let our profit from this title carry this title so we can put it out for the fans. If it's not profitable, you have to have that excess to put it
well,
out there, you know. But they just didn't
Yeah.
have it. Batman kept the
well,
lights on.
I think though my problem with it kind of goes the other direction, right? The reason that those other titles aren't selling is because they have failed those properties to some degree or another.
Yeah, Superman's the best example.
They haven't had like quality writers and artists on those titles, and they suffer. And that's the case across the board. When you don't put the talent on it and you don't bring the heat, subscribers go away.
Well, you see what happened with Superman. He fell out of grace with readers. I know, like, the cultural zeitgeist comes and goes, and that'll have a bearing on what characters are cooler than others. You know, we're for like a good decade, we're in the anti-hero era there. You know, people like Venom and Punisher, and give me some Batman the Vigilante, and the idea of a superhero that's like a model of what we should strive to be just kind of fell out of grace, especially when you had a writer carrying the title for so long that people didn't really enjoy, like with the Bendis era. But as soon as we got out of that Bendis era, PKJ stepped in and started doing both titles, and right off rip, it was amazing. And even though we're at this weird era where people are still jaded and they don't want to see grown up Jonathan Kent, PKJ is writing to that story. This is grown up Jonathan Kent. And why are people upset? Well, let me apply that to Superman. He would be upset too. It would be affecting him as well, missing those years with his kid and stuff. But then we got into the dicey waters of John Kent getting that spinoff title or taking over the main title. And a lot of people weren't on board with that for their reasons or whatever. Tom Taylor did a bang-up job with it. It was a solid read. But while that was happening, Philip Kennedy Johnson was writing the most relevant and will be the most talked about Superman saga of this generation with the War World saga, which was amazing. And I know that people talk that up so much that it got the word out. So the next jump on point, people started diving in with that Dawn of DC stuff, and it started gaining traction. And then when you hit, I don't know what it was about House of Brainiac that just caught so many people's attention, because Batman's sales didn't go down. Superman sales just came up. And back when we got into this whole plotting for the Dawn of DC era was when DC had its last shakeup. And one of the first things that happened was Zaslav coming in and looking at all of these properties that he now is in control of, including Superman. And he pulled a Neil Adams. He walked in the company and said, "Where the hell is Superman?" You know, Neil Adams famously walked into DC and said, "Where's Jerry and Joe?" They're like, "Oh, they don't work here." He's like, "What do you mean they don't work here? This is the house they built." You know, and thanks to people like him and Zaslav saying, "Superman, this is DC Comics, Superman. If he's not our flagship, put him there." And you can't just put him there, get him there. So now you have James Gunn doing the movie. You have PKJ brought him back in comics. Things are looking like they're supposed to. Now they just have to hold it, stay consistently amazing across the board, dynamic with their storytelling, great creators, tight continuity, have fun, and they're doing it. People just need to start picking it up and reading it. Just culturally, it's so easy for someone to walk into a shop for the first time and think, let me grab a Thor book, a Spider-Man book, because that's what I've been watching on TV for the past 15 years because of Disney with the MCU. They don't branch out until they've been there for a while. You got to read for a little bit and then say, all right, let me pick up this indie title. Let me pick up this DC title. Let me explore into the unfamiliar. But the quality of DC Comics is untouchable by Marvel right now. It just is.
Well, that's one of the things we've been talking about for a while is DC very slowly started to say, you know what? The missing ingredient is quality. It's good stories by good authors, and it's good art by great art teams. And they started bringing that in and doing that. And Marvel has kind of quietly followed that, or they kind of did the same thing with a couple of titles, but they weren't the titles you would think. Moon Knight is a good case in point. Fantastic Four, what Ryan North is doing with Fantastic Four. It's these titles that they can get away with it. It's not Spider-Man. It's not X-Men. It's not the Avengers. It's not the ones that are supposed to be the big dogs. Marvel has neglected their flagship books and just let them fall off the precipice for so long. Oh, Nosh is in the house. What's up,
What's
Nosh?
up,
Good to see
What's
you,
homie?
going
brother.
on, Nosh?
But DC has been bringing the quality into their stuff systemically, and
Well, for instance, Future State, like it or not, they rolled in their new like alumni of creators. They sidelined everything. They brought in new blood and said, "Make it or break it, go for it." And they delivered. Like I was the biggest anti-Future State person you can imagine. Like you're telling me I have to take 2 months off from what I want to read this. I'm just going to pick up this one or two. I ended up picking every single thing up all 2 months, all the titles. The only one that I thought was lacking was the Supergirl title. It was pointless and the art was overly beautiful for no reason. There was like watercolors.
The art was too good.
No, it was like soft color water palette.
Oh, gotcha. I didn't even read it.
And it was just like it didn't even feel like a comic. It was just weird. But I enjoyed everything they did. Like it was insane. The level of you can see them trying when you're reading, like, damn, they're really putting both feet in this. Who the hell wrote this? Who is this? And I'm like reading names for the first time, and there's names you know now. Rom V. Adam, what is it? Freaking doing Green Lantern now? Just did Flash. Jeremy Adams.
Yeah.
You know, Philip Kennedy Johnson. The people that everyone chases their name were doing Future State.
so what did you think about Night Terrors? I have to ask.
I thought it was fun. It was a mishandled event in the sense that it should have played out exactly like it did, just in the month of October.
I thought starting up Dawn of DC and then immediately stopping it and doing Night Terrors was a huge blunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have just did it in October because there's only one writer that had the mindset to not let this event affect his ongoing title, and that was Jeremy Adams. Where if you're reading Green Lantern, it seamlessly goes into Night Terrors and seamlessly comes out the other side. And if you never read anything else about Night Terrors, you're not lost or anything. It just he participated and it kept moving like it was just part of his run, and it was amazing. I don't know if you read it, but he's on an airplane when they're flying, and the whole nightmare comes over, deals with the event of the airplane. So in the second issue, because it only ran for 2 issues for each of the tie-ins, in the second issue, right, he's on the ground dealing with the nightmares, and they're coming at him, this and that, and he's like, finally, like you have this whole sense of dread with issue 1. Then you get into issue 2, and he just kind of looks around, and is like, do you know who I am? I'm Hal Jordan. I don't fear this, and he just dominated. He just wrecked the nightmares because he's fearless. It's Hal Jordan, the test pilot, like pure willpower. Like the opposite of fear is Green Lantern, and they came for the wrong one, and it was a hilarious issue. Like that moment that you want with Ollie, like oh shit, that was just an issue of him chasing the nightmares down. They were afraid of him. It was badass.
I did not read that, and now I want to.
Yeah, it was so good.
All right, so we're coming up on a couple of hours at this point, so I'm going to ask you this.
And then I have a follow-up question too.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So out of all of the DC books right now, we're taking Batman, Superman, and anything Suicide Squad off the table.
Green Lantern.
What are the 2 books that everybody should be reading from
Green Lantern, bar none, Green Lantern. First off, anything that Jeremy Adams touches is guaranteed to be on a bad issue an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern is absolutely amazing. Taking Superman off, that's difficult for me. Taking Batman off, that's not. Let's see, what else? Flash is terrible right now. Wonder Woman is probably the best single written monthly comic book on shelves. She's not my favorite character, but it's undeniably the best comic on shelves. With what Tom King is doing, it is so cinematic and amazing. And Daniel Sampier's art is untouchable. The way that those two come together, I always thought that Mitch Gerard's was Tom King's long lost creative side to his brain. It's not. It's Daniel Sampier.
Yep.
I could not agree more. I want to just go up and hug Daniel Sampier because his stuff is incredible. And I
Yeah.
kind of said it earlier about something else. It's like reminds me of the '90s in the best possible way. He's got like he would have been at home with Mark Silvestri and Jim Lee
Mhm. How
back in
about
the
that
'90s.
fight in
Just
DC? The way that each of these issues are structured have been different as well. Tom King has this fantastic thing about every book. It might not be your jam, and that's fine. But the, the creative intelligence of this guy as a writer is untouchable in this medium. He is in a league of his own, doing his own thing. If you go back and look at how he structured Mr. Miracle, it's similar in the way that he structured Strange Adventures, which is different in the way that he structured Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Like the way he's doing Penguin right now, where anytime Oswald is in the room with someone, the narrator bubble becomes that of the person talking to Oswald. So you now get a sense of like the atmosphere and how this person is perceived when we just look at him as like this little 4 foot tall, why is he a Batman rogue kind of character. You now understand just the level of danger that comes with just his presence and stuff. Everything is so creative and unique for each of his books. Like Batman Killing Time was done from the perspective of Clock King, and it was never revealed to the last issue. But then it makes everything make sense with all these timestamps. Like, why are we doing these timestamps? Why is it so precise? And the way that book had to be mapped out to be as precise as it was with multiple players all on the same time frame, it was just insane. But what he's doing with Wonder Woman is so unique in the sense that each issue is kind of structured a little differently to kind of exemplify the message that's there. And he's not beating you over the head with the message. It's like universal messages that are applied like not breaking your willpower or having hope in the moments of this, or never giving up. Like that fight in DC was absolutely insane, getting it from the Sovereign's perspective, kind of telling Trinity what happened. And when they dropped the Washington Monument on her, and they took out Swan, who was on their own team. And in that moment, they were about to use Giganta to crush Wonder Woman, but Swan would die. And the Sovereign's talking about that moment. He's like, we had her down. We had her taken out.
Issue.
We had her overpowered, but we couldn't account for one thing. The fact that in that moment, when we could have delivered the kill shot, she had to save somebody else. Albeit that person was there to kill her, she wouldn't allow her to die. We underestimated her. When it comes down to it, she is, after all, Wonder Woman. And you turn the page to her holding the damn monument up, saving Swan. And that's all that it took, was knowing that this life, I don't care who it is, this life has to be saved. And she had to dig down deeper. Like it's insane how good it is. Just
And that issue with her and Cheetah on the island, pretty much fighting the entire.
Stop.
I mean, that entire issue was exhausting because it was so damn good, and you felt every single aspect on every page. And I mean, it's one of those, you read that issue and you're like, all right, I'm done reading for a couple hours because I'm not going to pick up another book that was this.
It's our differences that make us all similar. You know, we're not the same. Nobody's the same. Quit pretending we are. That's what's beautiful about us, and that's how we connect.
The issue where he did every page was a side-by-side, 2 stories running simultaneously.
Yeah, issue 2
was freaking brilliant.
Cinematic.
Cinematic was, I'm glad you used that word earlier because it was the perfect word for it. It absolutely is. And holy smokes, Daniel Sampier is like, Tony Daniel is doing art on the next couple or whatever. And I'm like, please tell me it's just a fill-in. I'm like, please tell me it's just a fill-in. I want Daniel Sampier back.
Yeah, that was great because I remember that was the first one I really had to sit back in my seat and say, damn, because you're looking at her in the arena across from Artemis or somebody, and you turn the page and then she's standing out in the battlefield surrounded by the army across from Trevor. You're like, oh shit.
It was phenomenal. I'm so glad that's the book you said, because if you didn't, I was going to take you to task.
How about when she
find out why?
Issue with her storming the castle in issue 3 just to go have a conversation with Commander Steele, just up the stairs, through the elevator, through the guards, this and that, and then she's up there and he's like pointing out, like, yeah, I don't know what you were thinking. We are equipped for Amazons. All these guns drawn on you, they can hurt you. This, that, third, da 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 da. What'd you think coming up here? Oh, you think I don't have backup? And then you turn the page and the invisible jet is already hovering behind them. They're like, oh, shit.
See, that's the kind of stuff I really appreciate about him. And you get those little surprises and you get those little side shots into things that you weren't expecting. So when you look at it this way, it's one thing, but when you turn it now, it's something else.
Yeah.
And he is a master at that kind of storytelling, those reveals. I totally dig it. I'm so glad that's the book you said, because I'm
There's a whole
loving
counterculture out there that
book.
just hates on Tom King, like the counterculture that hates on Disney just to hate on it. And
well, they blame Tom King for the fact that the whole Bat Cat wedding didn't happen. He's not the one that did the marketing that said it was happening. It was just part of his story.
well,
DC said, "Hey, here's an
I've
event
gone
we
over
can
there and
market."
argued with them. Their whole thing is it's character assassination. He just assassinates characters. I'm like, no, he doesn't. As a guy who's read all of Tom King's stuff, he definitely does. As a guy who's not a fan of character assassination, I would be livid. I couldn't read his stuff if that was the case.
Did you like Danger Street? I have to ask.
I love Danger Street.
I thought you would.
Like, I loved it as it went more than I loved it in its totality, which is normally the opposite for a Tom
King book. Yes.
But the best single issue I read that month was watching the assassin and manhunter fight it out on the roof. That issue was stellar.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like when they're all just sitting in the cafe talking too. That was like, whoever would have put this motley crew together, and I'm fascinated. It's really good.
The best parts for me was definitely the new Genesis Apocalypse stuff with the sky falling and Darkseid and Highfather having that embrace. I'm like, I've never seen that happen in my 36 years of living.
Yep. Okay, so my question for you before we have to sign off and let people go home. The Bride from Batman Joker Deadly Duo. Are we going to see her again? And if so, where? Because I don't know what it is about her. I'm intrigued. I want to see more of her. I think she could be a very smart villain in the way that DC has some villains who aren't necessarily villains. They're just misunderstood.
Hot take. I didn't enjoy that series.
Really?
The artwork is undeniably great, but I thought the story was boring as hell. The story started at a time of oversaturation of the Joker, and if you think about it, since
that's 100% true. I'll give you that.
We haven't seen the Joker since then, except him just now getting brought back into Detective Comics when Catwoman went and brought him in to try to save Gotham from the Organs. But I was so done with Joker, and Silvestri's art is.
Oh, now he locks up.
Silvestri's art is obviously amazing. It's right there. I'm here. Just go. But I'm right here. It's right there, baby. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, Silvestri's art is obviously amazing, but there's just the story was predictable from the start, and it was just, I don't know, like it just was boring to me. Just monsters biting people and regenerating. It just, I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. I don't know what else was coming out at the time that had my interest elsewhere. It was just great, a Batman Black Label.
I loved it. I thought she was awesome, and I really want to see her come back. But that does trigger me into a follow-up question, which I reserve the right to do, even though I'm not a lawyer. The Batman First Night, Dan Jurgens, Mike Perkins.
Loved it.
Okay.
Loved it. And when you were talking about Batman's supposed to be a detective, he needs to be a detective. And that was where I was about to go, but we went elsewhere. I'm like, you should read Dan Jurgens' First Night, because it's a 10 out of 10 from page 1 to the end.
I know we had this discussion before. I'm not a fan of the big oversized books that are pain in my butt.
Imagine not giving Mike Perkins an oversized book to do that with.
Well, that's where I was going. I said, if ever a book deserved that format and took advantage of that format,
it was that book.
It was that one.
That first time you see him crash through the glass over, I'm like,
and that artwork where that actually looked like a suit made out of materials available in the 1930s.
How cool was it watching him go to an old warehouse where he pulled up a car next to another car and got out and got his suit out of the trunk, because that's how he had to plan and operate and stuff. It was just amazing.
I thought that was brilliant. I loved that book. I've talked to Mike.
It wasn't in your face predictable either.
No, it wasn't.
Not at all. Like, why are these two actors showing up at his house in issue 1? And like, if they're not the bad guys, what are we doing? And just like, it's
Jurgens really captured the feel of the era with the language and all that stuff. And Perkins.
Did you read all the newspaper clippings on?
Oh, you had to.
Had
You
to.
had to. Look at the newspaper clippings, the names of the storefronts on the streets, all of that stuff. You had to look into that. But I've talked to Mike Perkins, and he has said he would come on here and talk to us. So we've just got to work out the timing because he's 6 hours ahead of us, and he's probably a little bit of a night owl, but he's not that much of a night owl. But we're gonna get online and record a show with him sometime here soon. Really looking forward to that. Speaking of which, Alan, I've got to reach back out and schedule that with him. So we'll find a time where we can break off from work or something and talk to Mike Perkins, because that would be totally 100% worth it. But yeah, that's about it. You got any parting shots you want to leave folks with tonight, man?
I think we have covered just about everything we
He's
could.
on mute. You got to let the man unmute.
Oh, just go buy and read comics.
That's pretty much it. Read more comics.
Preach.
Alan, you have to say buy and read comics.
Oh, yeah, okay. I can do that. I can add that to it.
As for reference, I'm on vacation, and I've been sitting here digital reading my stuff on a website where I don't have to pay for them. But I'll be going and picking up all these books I'm digitally reading when I get back in town to put them in my collection. I don't digitally read anything I'm not wanting to read, and if I want to read it, it's on my pull list.
Yeah, good man.
My thing about that is, like, I have the Marvel Unlimited app, and I love that thing just for the simple fact that it gives me the opportunity to read comic books that I would never be able to afford to read. Like
in back issues, you don't have to go pull something out that you own. Like I've read more on my DC Universe app that I own already than I have of anything else. Granted, the first thing I did when I got it was read all 97 installments of Convergence. So that pretty much paid for it for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like I'll go back and read old Elseworlds, or like what was it? 0 Hour. I went back and read 0 Hour just on random one night, and just stuff like that. But new books, I like the format of holding them more, but on vacation, I don't want to have to go home and try to read like a stack of books 2 hours before doing a live stream that night where I'm reviewing them. And I'm also curious what the hell is going on. Jamal Campbell was back for Superman this week. Let's go.
Are you the one guy that liked Convergence?
I don't want to answer that question now. I feel like you're judging.
I'll take that as a yes.
No, so I literally read nothing else. I started Convergence and read nothing else, so I finished Convergence. So by the time I was finished with Convergence, I was ready to be finished with Convergence. So I just watching the tie-ins were just so generic and repetitive because of just watching the superheroes fight each other. All I cared about is that Earth 22 didn't take any losses. That's all I cared about, and they didn't. Kingdom Come, Reign Supreme, but there was parts of the stuff that Convergence was affecting that I really wanted to see all the details to and the resolution of. I'm a big fan of Earth 2 from the New 52 era. That's why my Sunday stream is called At Week's End. It's based off of At World's End. Earth 2 went for 20-something issues, and it changed its title name to At World's End, but nothing changed. It's one movie. That entire run is one movie, and it's one of my favorite runs of comics in history. I absolutely love it. So that was kind of relevant to those characters. I'm a JSA guy, so I really cared about what happened with a lot of that stuff.
How much did you love those Tony Harris covers?
I've been getting them every week and using them I've been using them in my Tuesday giveaway whenever they come out.
They're so gorgeous.
Yeah, every Tuesday for my DC Day stream, I always do like a weekly giveaway of new DC books for that week. And when that Tony Harris variant drops, I've done like 3 now, I think. I've always grabbed those as part of the giveaway.
They are just exquisite. Just exquisite. Well, hey, John, appreciate that. If you like this kind of chatting about comics, we don't always have Mark, but we always talk comics, and this we have guests on sometimes, creators and such. We have a blast with that, but mostly it's just us talking about the comics we like.
Every Thursday at what time?
7 p.m. Central.
Yep. Every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. That's right. But hey, man, really appreciate you jumping on with us. That was super cool.
Thanks for the invite.
Literally, anytime you want to talk comics on a Thursday night, you have an open invitation. You are our kind of people. Love talking comics with you. Like you talked about earlier, it's that energy that you get from picking up somebody else who saw something you didn't or read a book I didn't, but now I want to because they told me how cool it was and I'm intrigued. Yeah, that's cool stuff. So you've got a standing invite, man. Anytime. Anytime. All right, man. Well, we will let you guys all have a great evening. Thank you all for joining us. You all rule. And just like from our old days when we were a trivia show, we still like to play this little video as an outro because it's fun. So thanks, guys. We appreciate it.